So I'm making join all the participants who are available. There are there are 8 participants right now apart from us. So I have just connected them and
Yes, yes. No, see, I see that we are 7 participants, so
yeah,
one
and
has
maybe few
arrived.
more will be joining because it's
Yes.
sessions and welcome to this session number 6A of 4th World Conference on Smart Trends in Systems Security and Sustainability. Unfortunately, we need to convert this conference to a digital mode rather than a physical due to the current pandemic on which is ongoing. But anyways, I appreciate the work which is being done by every author and every participant in their own area, and assume that this conference cycle time is approximately 7 to 8 months. When a author submits a paper, it's get reviewed, you get the acceptance, you get the review comments, you again revise the paper, send the camera ready version, sign your copyright, then present your paper, and then finally you will wait for the paper to get it published. So the whole cycle time is sometimes 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, depending on the publisher and the conference which you are getting in. So I assume that for all the authors, it is really uh, uh, being patient in time is really a good thing, and we appreciate all the authors for that. And moving ahead, we have with us Dr. Libro Negro from Italy, and I would like to comment his efforts because he is a keen collaborator for from our organization on this, specifically this conference, for last maybe say 2 years or 3 years. We are being seeing him in London in our conferences, and this time he is a chair. So I invite Dr. Libro Negro, who is from University of Calabria and from the department Demes, Italy. Welcome you, Professor, and we would like to start this session
Yes,
soon.
yes, I agree.
But before the starting of the session, I would like to just read a short about Professor Libro Negro, who is a professor at Department of Computer Science and Computer Engineering at Engineering Department of Informatics, Modeling, Electronics and System Sciences, that is called DIMES, Italy. He has a great publication record of more than around 100 research papers to his credit. His research interests include development of software engineering tools for modeling analysis, prototyping, and implementation of distributed time-dependent systems, both simulated and real-time. His current projects are centered on multi-agent systems, real-time systems, distributed simulation, Petri-net tools, distributed measurement, and cyber-physical systems. We welcome you, Professor Libro Negro, and over to you for your welcome remarks. Over to Professor
Well,
Negro.
thank you. Thank you for this presentation. And I think we can move to the first speaker. We should be Mosto Apanta, if I pronounce it
Hello.
correctly.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. I remember you from the last year.
Yes. So, Professor, you can share your presentation, and without delay, we should start the session. And each presenter will be getting 12 minutes for
When
presentation and 2 to 3 minutes
me
for
for
question answer.
the answer. So
So,
yes.
over to you, Professor Topanta,
Okay, you
for
can
your
share your video, please.
for your presentation. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Estopanta. Hello from Ecuador.
Voice, there is a
Voice
problem.
is slightly. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Okay. Now, please, presentation.
You can share your presentation. Gradually, the participants are also increasing. Now we have 11 among the number.
Yes.
In the meanwhile, if anybody feels that if you have any questions, you can drop or in the chat bot or in the message box in the Zoom itself. Thank you.
It's okay.
Yes, Professor, it is visible. The PPT is visible. You can go ahead.
Okay, we can start.
Okay. Oh, please, yeah. My topic is the presentation.
Sorry, adjust the microphone, please.
Okay. Hello.
I think there is some issue with the
Volume.
mic. Professor, your mic has some issues. You need to settle it down because we are not able to hear you.
Oh, okay.
Now it's fine, but again you just change your face and it again goes back.
Moment, please.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, now it's audible.
No, it's okay. But
Okay.
Professor, can you remove your microphone and can you use the system audio itself? It will be better because we are not able to hear you. No, we are not able to hear you.
No.
Professor, we are not able to hear you. I'm sorry, but we are not able to hear you. Can you just remove your microphones and you can use the system audio? Yes. Now you can speak.
Okay, moment, please.
Yeah, now it's perfect.
that's
Now it's
better,
perfect.
better.
Listen.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Introduction covering the change in the ways in the communication result from the constant transformation of the technology are evident. From this habit, because on the pressure tools also full the society and the world in progress, use the incremental the rise of the violence causing this mass media. Problem a project. In this sense, cyber rules and comes in the cyberbullying, impressing typical bullying refers in the verbal, as the start of sounds insulting and principal comments in the show through electronic media. From this perspective, his objective becomes causing harm on the victim, causing humility, fear, and reprise. Overall, the objective is determine the risk of cyberbullying on social network. Material and methods. The articles, the reference analysis material on the methods used in the directive in the analysis on the following information. Few user social network in Ecuador, organization ENIC information, ¿sí? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Lankey, difference, Fury 2, Facebook user by age in Ecuador, 37 years, difference portion, is Fury 3, Twitter user base in Ecuador, men 67%, women 43%, Fury 4, 20 user by against in Ecuador, difference portion, first to 24 years, 12% y diferente portion yet. Fury 5, Instagram user 5, 6 in Ecuador, men 44, Goodman, 56%. Fury en Instagram user by again en Ecuador, difference percent years, difference percent. 5-7 like user by 60 in Ecuador, difference percent means 15.5%, Goodman 45%, Fury age like user by aging in Ecuador, difference percent. Result, upgrade of the modem on the action bullying. By considering bullying also ante problem factors being education context in the need areas to only avoid in the which the victimization caused by also the general vides verbal, physical, emotional, which include the social network and victim, atrai suge, atrai forge, passive atrais, posible atrais, observe atrais, posible defense, difference de víctima, and result organization project global solution problem de cyberbullying en Ecuador. En project in future. Conceptual model real to the development of digital skill. With this
Colega.
Or reach to cyberbullying through social network, string the critical responsibly use them. Bullying, cyberbullying model was submitted their organizes another less conceptual in the victim, protection in the victim, persist in the time, with physical for those now interesting, no in Marty's time. Qualitative description in the having of digital context field children and adults. On the aspect of two correcting digital skill that children and adolescents might learn for the correct use the social network. How progress is forced in the mitigating the risk harvesting by making use them. Therefore, it is became necessary competence within the farm in the comprehension educational work through in the college, the educar goes for the concepto ICT in the confusion of tools of computer plataforma and all this interaction with the people is qualitative abilities, digital empire, digital individual, work organization, cyberbullying administration, management of computer security, privacy, behavior, digital empire, and project in Ecuador, future integration global solution problem. Discussion, the proposal the model start from the cognitive information reading, the billing theory in cyberbullying, the summit, that's what was on bullying, the study the technologies, born in the society, has general and massive consultation on the underlying becomes in the lane tool that communicates between people and the world in the Tanger have become a story special witness between cyberbullying. From the perspective of cyberbullying in the person in the crime of the year has in discussion in information ability. On the other hand, cyberbullying can be consideration to be a social problem which affects different are the victim transversely. Choose as the individual or group intervention of people engaged the both individual. The situation of rash intervention of various actors when they surrounding in the order protects in the hand prevent the minds on this integrity. Future work, design of the ICT management model preventive the range of the cyberbullying in social network limits future lines of research open the sound the main the linking the structural aspect of the protocol and structure or user of computing services as well as the holding information by using. Conclusion. It is conclusion on the need to prevent optimal remedy for the development of digital skill, competing in creating and adolescent in the order mitigate the risk cyberbullying in the wise in the contribution on the ethics threatening personal information in digital media. Thank you. Any question?
Colleague, I appreciated your effort to understand the problem and also the social networks where such cyberbullying is possible and can be unfortunately exercised, exists. But I would ask you if you can comment your work, if you have some concrete result about your work in the sense that you have emphasized the problem. I would ask you in brief time about solution. I have understood that there is the importance of operating in the school from the first stage, etc., etc. But from the ICT, point of view, have you some information about how to proceed, and have you some information of what can be called solution to this problem?
Problem cyberbullying in world in Ecuador in special no layer security for cyberbullying, no layer. In Ecuador, structuration the project start. See, no the people speak cyberbullying, pero why no solution a moment. In future, begin initiation project real for solution. Okay.
As another observation, I think this problem is not only obviously of the Ecuador, no? And you have investigated what others are doing for the same problem elsewhere in the world, and how to exploit, for example, methods, possible solutions which can help in the Ecuador to contrast the problem. Have you an idea?
Okay, sí. Corre, problem level World War Security, ¿sí? Cyberbullying. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think,
Thank you.
Thank you. And if any other participants also have questions, they can just put it on the chat board so Professor can answer it in the meanwhile. So we will be going ahead with the second presentation for the session. And I would invite the presenter for digitalization against the new outbreak, that is Monsieur Geeta from Morocco.
Yeah.
So, is the author here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Good
please.
evening.
Good
Good
evening. Go ahead.
evening. Um. Yeah.
You can share your presentation.
Yeah. Is it?
It's not yet visible, but
No?
you can once again try it. Yes, now it's
Is it okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is Zorrita. I'm from Morocco. I'm a PhD student at Research Foundation for Development and Innovation in Science and Engineering. My presentation today is entitled Digitalization Against the New Outbreak. My presentation is outlined as follows. First, I will give some COVID-19 routes, clinical analysis, and some impacts. I will highlight then the role of digitalization for pandemic surrounding. I will give some insights on Morocco measures against COVID-19, and I will highlight digital twins potential to encounter COVID-19 impacts. Then I will give some concluding remarks and perspectives about future works. So, COVID-19, known as severe acute respiratory syndrome, COV-2, is a zoonotic pathogen first detected among animals, resulting in respiratory complications ranging in severity from flu-like symptoms to pneumonia and more fatal forms such as severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS-CoV-1, that appeared in China in 2003. COVID-19 first cases were detected in China in December 2019. Then it was identified as a pandemic by the World Health Organization in January. COVID-19 fatality rate is estimated to 0.6 to 1%, and its reproduction number to 1.4 to 2.5. A lot of research communities are working on the development of a vaccine for the pandemic, approximately 200, and some of them are undergoing clinical trials. Pandemic is characterized by a particular life cycle that goes from prevention and preparedness to response and evaluation. Digital technologies and concepts have proven to be an efficient weapon against COVID-19. At each stage, digital tools can reinforce countries' measures to encounter pandemic spread, severity, and socioeconomic impacts. For example, through digital assistance, virtual platforms, and particularly chatbots, through smart planning and supply chain advanced simulation, particularly for occupational health and safety concerns, real-time tracking and contact tracing, artificial intelligence for suspected cases, health condition monitoring through smart health monitoring. Digitalization had played an important role in this pandemic, in the fight against the pandemic. For example, in Asia, digital platform for e-learning, e-healthcare, teleworking were developed. Some of them is the example of the Huawei platform for the development of cleaning robots and nurses robots, contact tracking and tracing apps, for example, Blue Trace, Cities Twin for mobility management with respect to social distancing measures. Some of world countries are developing digital twins for their smart cities, and these examples, this simulation can be so fruitful for against the pandemic. Uh, uh, there are some interactive maps for pandemic indicators monitoring in Europe. 3D printed masks were developed in Italy. Some smart artificial respirators, real-time monitoring of pandemic indicators also. For the United States, there were some interactive maps for pandemic social impact tracking, contact tracing, mobile apps, and within Africa and Middle East, Morocco worked on some interesting projects such as smart homemade laboratory RTC tests, digital platform for e-learning and e-healthcare, smart government project, intelligent mask for automatic remote detection of COVID-19. Morocco has registered today 4,018 cases, active cases, and a fatality rate of 1.6%. Some notable achievements against the virus to date are the development of smart 100% homemade artificial respirators, a contact tracing application called Wiqayatuna, smart masks for contact tracing and vital signs monitoring, through some research communities that works on the integration of IoT technologies and solutions to smart health monitoring, the production and export of hydroalcoholic gels and masks. Morocco has registered today one of the lowest mortality rates worldwide, and has developed testing kits 100% homemade. Preventive measures that were undertaken in Morocco are school and public places closure, generalization of barriers and preventive measures, and setting up of a national pandemic fund. Some inherent sanitary and logistical challenges within Moroccan countries are medical staff and patient mental health management, health system capacity and sanitary infrastructure within, especially within rural areas, and food security, which concerns the African continent in general. Development opportunities that Moroccan countries has taken into consideration, national innovation hubs development and call for projects against COVID-19 that were reinforced by the contribution of countries' industrial leaders. Moroccan scientific community involved in the development of digital healthcare solution works on the development of some projects against the pandemic, public administration digitalization projects, and the creation of a coalition between the kingdom's private and public institution. Some government response policies highlight on some response policies, for example, workplace redesign and production line accommodation, massive testing campaign that were encouraged by Morocco's king, the implementation of new workplace organization procedures, and the publication of some recommendations, and the creation of audit committees for the observance of sanitary measures within professional environments. Some inherent socioeconomic challenges that goes uh, due to the pandemic are poverty, illiteracy, especially within rural areas, that hinders the deployment of some response measure and prevention measure, declining of oil prices, and poorly diversified economy that Morocco is working on enhancing currently. Important contribution of international threats, in particular with China, on the value chain of Moroccan industries. Some development opportunities are the encouraging of local consumption and production. The government is working on projects, on national projects, in order to encourage local consumptions, implementation of new development model in line with the current pandemic situation, and in accordance with the royal will. Digital transformation. Morocco is currently undergoing a huge transformation motivated by country's desire to integrate the digital age with its different ecosystems and stakeholders. Some social challenges are the spread of fake news about the virus that the government tries to hinder by the establishment of a collaboration between the Ministry of Justice, the authorities, and the Moroccan Press Agency in order to develop a legal framework for information sharing under a project law, the development of an official information sharing platform and portal for daily monitoring of the evolution of the virus established by the Ministry of Health. Digital twins is considered one of digital technologies that can contribute in the fight against the virus because it works on the development of smart supply chain for pharmaceutical industry and medical equipment providers. Also, it helps the establishment of a digital trustworthiness and cybersecurity social industrial coalition in time of crisis. We proposed three solutions. The first one is smart city digital twins that will be based on the establishment of an open data platforms that will enable smart finance policies and legal framework in order to develop smart government with the implication of third parties like NGOs and factories, and for the development of a social map in order uh, to monitor needs and social needs and requirements of different communities in the time of the sanitary crisis. The second solution is based on the establishment of a smart digital twin for smart factories and for the improvement of supply chain, especially for medical devices development. This platform will be based on shadows as a services, middleware as a services, and services platform. Middleware as a service will be connected to factories real-time data flow through communication brokers. It will work on asset identification, criticality index attribution, and it will select in order to select the appropriate service, then data acquisition and transaction record. Shadows as a service consist on virtual shadows on the cloud platform and the IoT platform, open source IoT platform particularly, and virtual shadows of lines that will be implemented on sites within the factories in order to provide some interesting services for pandemic management and smart supply chain establishment. For example, smart human resources management in accordance with the recommendation for occupational health and safety against COVID-19, risk mitigation and crisis management, and smart company social responsibilities, finally smart supply chain and the GeoBI application. It will be connected to smart city digital twin that will provide the smart services platform with some indicators with the citizens' needs and some contextual parameters. The third
Dear
solution
presenter,
is
sorry
based
for
on.
interrupt. You have last 1 minute.
Okay. The last solution is addressed to industrial pharma industry. It is based on three layers: data repositories and information resources that will provide with mediator agents with real-time data flow in order to create smart communication interfaces, and in order to provide communication panels with the real-time data and real-time needs of customers. The last solution, I will skip this. No. This work has enabled us to identify the role of digitalization in the fight against the pandemic, to analyze of pandemic evolution within Morocco, its impact, challenges, and societies and government response plan, and the exploration of digital twin solution potential to face the different issues resulting from the evolution of the pandemic. Future work will be based on functional and contextual suitability analysis for solution implementation within Moroccan context, and the exploration of multi-dimensional modeling for pandemic forecasting and smart decision making. Thank you for your attention. Feel free to ask any question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions from other participant attendees? Okay, Gita, I would ask you,
Yeah.
you presented an architecture which is made up of several tools and methodology trying to give you some help in the pandemic situation.
Yeah.
I have not missed something. You do not mention it. For example, some provision which can be attached also to our phones to, for example, to check the interdistance among peoples,
Yeah, yeah.
which can
Social distance. Yeah,
help because, as you know, and also I've been stressed many times. Um, trying to contrast the diffusion, it is very important that the interdistance among people be checked,
yeah.
monitored. Do you have some information about this?
Yeah, yeah. For example, there are some smart cities digital twins developed, and they receive in real time some video cameras recording and images, and they analyze through visual recognition application the real time situation, and they compare it to some defined no, compliant situations of social distancing, and they report in real time if there are some people that don't respect social distancing. There are also some smart wearables that works with the IoT devices, and when they register that there is some distance that there is for example superior to 2 meters or 3 meters, they make some notification, or in order to for the user to respect the distance.
Oh, yes, yes. And also to trace the contact and the many people who have been in contact with someone
Yeah, yeah,
in order to have data upon which we can make extrapolation and understand how to intervene, trying to reduce
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the diffusion. Okay?
Yeah, for example, Siemens is working on a project through their technomatics plant simulation with the company, I think, in Europe, in this framework for social distancing within workplace.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving ahead, we have the next presenter with us. Again, Moises, if you want to present right now, or you want to present at the end of the session, because you have presented one paper in this session. Professor Moises, are you available?
Hello.
Yes, yes,
Moment,
yes.
please.
Go ahead with the presentation, please. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My topic, the research, is analysis of adequation security algorithm oriented to cyber security management for the distribution architecture. Content is introduction, problem and project, overall material and methods, result, discussion, future work, and conclusion. Introduction, cyber security with the guideline dealing the current the protection on the confidentiality, integrity, and available of information system on distributed architecture. It's hard is to make already may change on the coming to strategies and priority to avoid a trust against on the data on algorithm is process to choosing optimal measure to the protected. So the task impact a trust minimal. Problem a project, the system identification, the states, the access control, the main trace, basic assumption about the states in the platform, the hosting the information as the host number of software application room guide. Many the peer-to-peer by multiple cloud user, they raise the possibility of cyber attacks, multi-testing platform in security. Overall, the objective is identify some security managers tools and the script describe sobre requirement de cybersecurity management to hold a have mean the need the distributed architecture. Material comparison of proposal. Revise different artículos, principal artículo presentation, reference 4, 6, 8, 9, 12, 14, 15, principal reference 6, from 19 to the 95% detection, see? Method, the forging algorithm was the the difference and the scoping was defined IEC algorithm or C5 algorithm scope IEC algorithm sorted decay encryption algorithm like is are defined this the mechanic cryptography, the ideal hands involved and not be possibly to the encryption next week having the encryption key. Advanced encryption star 5.2 is the most popular and wielding the symmetry encryption algorithm in the modern IT industry. IES has been to also the security for the world standard and compatibility will be virtual platform. The algorithm block here in the IECT takes initial round, see, start for round, final round encryption text. RC5 algorithm is a block encryption algorithm free trim that uses key the variable size in the each characteristic in the simplifies on the algorithm Chamaki in the very fast and the as implementation in the both software and the hardware. Block text, log out, log v, first iteration, last iteration, encryption text. Scope. Scope 1, adopt IEC and RCB for cybersecurity management. Use the layer architecture, define generic management algorithm, apply distribution architecture to database, apply distribution architecture to applicate, algorithm oriented to manage the security distribution data. Result, a prototype of security exchange 5.4 is a process presenting a result. IEC encryption is a special used to encryption database. Being block encryption exchange from the calculation on this algorithm are performed on the certain predefined the world suite for a distribution architecture. Architecture prototype, see, global, the database global, separate database result data, both encryption with RC5, description YAAC, encryption AAC of the manager user, transaction user, prototype. Prototype or distribution and every architecture why cybersecurity. Figure 5 is presented as the result of the 5-layer architecture. It is established in the usually analysis by the layer of the security algorithm. It results from the IEC algorithm encryption and description the data will be RC5 is the encryption and the description the result from the information. 5, ¿sí? Análisis, consultation, revision, detection, indicators, estructure de prototipo proposed. General algorithm for security manager. See, the general algorithm is used for the architecture to manage user access to application and database. The crucial word on the algorithm is the access the database according to the type of data, result, voice or video, and type of user, transaction or material that access is addressed to database the user encryption. In algorithm propose different, see, propose majority, security, and algorithm cyber security. In 5, 6, show the exercise, the swings algorithm general data for the this testing 12A for under 9.1 user under 6.3.7 distribution applications under 16.7 database data under understand 18.1 distribution service under 5 under 14 business ruling in the 5-layer architecture. The performance is 18.9.76% for the 6 the suite, the 5,112 user, 615 distribution application, 513 database table, and table 119 distribution services, 428 business ruler in the 5-layer architecture. See, performance is 91.44% for the archi is the text 8,152 using 1900 distribution application and 119A. See, database tablet 200 distribution services, 585 business ruler in the layer architecture. The layer architecture, the performance, the 19.21% is the following that the performance within the third model business rules and distribution services in the architecture, as is the case in the 18 in the high rated tablet, and the business rule in the performance is 92.06. Discussion. One, principles and general, the distribution architecture rather support the concurrent transition and manage user becomes the asset according the race assigned and available resource. Exception is the item that covers information assigned on distribution architecture in the data other assigned on the full information system, manual, confidential files of the others are not covered. The result obtained part is to implement the security in the database, and the result, the problem that every usual implementation by the AEC and RC5 security algorithm. Future work as a project security algorithm for IoT architecture in public organization in Latin America was proposed. Conclusion conclusion that ASC and RC5 security algorithm increase security in the import information assure the database, increase government the information integrity or a distribution architecture and continue monitors general alarms anomalies. The architecture prototype has 92.06% performance. And the encryption of information between the sender and the receiver use the conflict with the change in the original program in the case. For the reason, IEC encryption level could complement with design in the public the cryptographic algorithm on the job and rise in the efficient sovereign community for initial case chain. By adoption, cryptographic algorithm on provide reliability in the story and information in this necessary for the using host deposit security mercenary in the order prevent other principles that attracts or distributed communication accessed by espionage. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question for this presentation? Dear colleague, can you explain me exactly what does mean when you achieve a given level of performance? When you talk about 92.026%, what is exactly it does mean?
Okay. Measural performance in the modifies, see, configuration structure, the algorithm, for obtaining result 92.06 en pose. Mejora performance. And performance the system algorithm normal IEC and R no mitigates the security and cyber problem. Okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now we move to the next.
Yeah, we will move it to the next participant, and the next participant for this one is, I think, an author from United Kingdom, David Bird.
Hello.
Yeah, David, over to you and for your presentation.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Just share your presentation and we can go ahead with the things.
Is that okay?
It is not visible right now.
Oh.
Should once again try to share your screen.
Yeah, it's sorry, it's a Zoom permissions thing on Macintosh, so I'm gonna have to leave and come back in to enable it.
Okay, okay.
Sorry about that.
Till the time we can have the next presentation and we can take you afterwards, after that, right?
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, Professor.
No problem. The next presentation is from India. Mahendra Singh, are you available?
Yeah,
Yeah, then go ahead with the presentation. Yes. Share your
Mahendra.
screen and please go ahead with the presentation. Great.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please. All the best.
Okay, great. Okay, let me start with my introduction. I am Mahendra Singh, research scholar in IIT Dhanbad, India. I am carrying out the research work under the guidance of Professor Chiranjeev Kumar and Professor Premnath. I am going to talk about the peer-to-peer application in 4G, 5G network using device-to-device communication based on social attributes of user. I will start with short introduction on what exactly problem statement is, then what is P2P, what is the D2D communication, why proposed P2P system over D2D communication. Just a minute. Yeah. Yeah, let us move on the basic part, that is introduction part of the paper. We are going to use peer-to-peer system over the device-to-device communication based on social attributes of user. Because in future, there would be huge number of users and evolve node would be under tremendous burden to support such number of users in 4G, 5G networks. Then, of course, device-to-device communication is promising option to offload the eval node, and peer-to-peer system can implement it over D2D communication because D2D system is an attractive mode of file sharing between the users. See here, in the figure, it is depicted D2D communications. In this figure, ENV is eval node and UE are the user equipment. Some user equipment have direct link with ENB. Some user equipment have not in the range of ENB node, which are connected to via a bridge node that are shown here with dotted line like UE8 and UE9 that can act as a bridge to connect node UE10. Yeah, we have used some methodologies. We have selected social attributes of users like social relationship, professional, all these are listed here. These social attributes can be facilitate the proper selection of feeder and proper sharing of files. This is our proposed, this is our proposed model as illustrated here. A subscriber starts traveling from coverage area of ENV1 and goes to coverage area up to ENV3 and returns in the reverse sequence. Each ENV has local storage that can store popular files. User can select the feeder to download the file based on the social factor, and file download can be happened based on the contribution factor. Here, as I already discussed, that many people are connected on social media, officially, neighborhood, and they know each other. Such people want to share files with each other. Why we propose social factor and contribution factor? To select the feeder for downloading the files, which are defined as in this formula, that is SF is equal to friend plus colleague plus neighbors plus any other association. And also we have considered the contribution factor because greatness of users has been also observed in the P2P system, where an user wants to download files at greater download speed but does not want to upload the same manner. Such behavior is named as free riding P2P system. In this it is not desirable for good performance of the system. This is as measured by in our proposal, that is the contribution factor. Actually, contribution factor is decided by the how much data is uploaded by user minus how much data is downloaded by a feeder. And of course, we have considered popular files are also cached at storage provided in ENB depending on the popularity of files. Our proposal actually based on the BitTorrent protocol, where the torrent includes file ID, block ID, feeder, and it's stored by ENB1. Also, it updates at time to time. The popularity of file is defined here as in this like this formula. Also, we can see the cost of updating torrents. It is defined by the RCQ into CTT, where RCQ is equal to rate of completion of file download request, and CTT is equal to the time involved in updating a torrent. Also, we have defined cost of updating contribution factor is equal to defined RCQ, that is the rate of completion of file download, into CTCF, that is time involved in updating contribution factor of a feeder, and FAVG, that is the average number of feeders to download a file. Also, cost of updating the popularity of file also defined here. Actually, files have different attributes in the terms of user request. Some files are requested by many users, are accessed frequently, and such files are called popular files. But some files are rarely accessed, and that popular files caching replication strategy is suitable to reduce the resource lookup cost, because at that time we can just look up from the base station, that is the env. That is it is defined by RCQ into CTCP, where RCP is same as the rate of completion of files, and CTP are the time involved in updating popularity of the files. And here is also total cost involved in update. Total update cost we can get from the previous formula by adding 4, 5, and 6, and we can get here this formula for the updating any files are downloading or updating. Here also we have considered that total message cost for updating file download. After downloading a file, subscriber sends message to env, which is evolve node. But let suppose we assume that the size of message sent in env is CMSG, and RCQ rate of completion of file download. Then we can calculate the total message cost is equal to RCQ into CMSG. We have analyzed the performance of proposed scheme in the terms of download cost of file while varying number of feeders. We have assumed here that 500 D2D subscribers and other parameters like S, that is the block of files 5 MB, and bandwidth is 1 Mbps. Here we can see it is obvious from the figure that while number of feeders increases, then download cost also decreases. Also, we have analyzed the performance of proposed scheme in terms of download cost of file while varying number of bandwidth tuning factor. Also, what parameters we have assumed writing here, as per the figure, we can see the effect of tuning factor is reverse on the download cost. Here, the tuning factor increases, the download cost decreases. It is illustrated here in the figure. It is also noticeable that when number of feeders increases along with the tuning factor, then download cost also decreases more. Also, total update cost, we have analyzed torrent update, contribution factor updates, and popularity of files also analyzed through mathematical analysis. And according to the figure, it is obvious from the illustration that while completion rate is increased, then total cost also increase. When number of feeders increase, then the contribution factor update cost also increase. Also, total cost for updating file download by subscriber has been illustrated here. It is obvious from the illustration that the completion rate increase, then message cost also increase. Also, effects of contribution factor, also we have analyzed the volume of data uploaded and its effect on contribution factor has been illustrated here. It is from the figure, it is obvious from the illustration that while amount of data downloaded increases, then contribution factor decreases. Also, volume of data download. Previously, it was the upload. It is the download, and effect cost of contribution has been illustrated here. In the download, it is obvious from the illustration that contribution factor increases as volume of data upload increases. Here is our conclusion. D2D communication can offload the burden of ENB by enabling network. Network is assisted device to do communication in license and license free spectrum. And we have considered social attributes like friends, colleague, neighbors, etc., and mobility pattern of users, and proposed a P2P system based on D2D communication for 4G, 5G cellular networks. The proposed social attributes help in minimizing the file download cost. The feeder can be selected in the proximity based on the social and contribution factor. And proposed contribution factor is used for in minimizing the free writing behavior of user. Also, the effect of a intermittent bandwidth over file download and channel allocation can be considered for the further study. Also, we have taken the references, approximately 43 references from 2017 to 2020. Thank you very much. I would be very happy to answer the question, if any.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mahendra, for your interesting talk. I have a curiosity about in which way you achieved the performance analysis curves. In the sense, do you use, for example, some model you have developed, some simulation for achieving the performance curves?
Yeah, yes, sir. Actually, this is I am working on the simulation part, and that will be the extended my paper. And I will also I will try to compare my results to some other results, which is also I have given in my papers. That is unanimous system, and in this system that contact host tracking with the help of base station. And also I will compare my host base tracking with the help of our e-node. Also, I will try to conclude by simulating that subscriber are enabled the GPS locations are reported periodically by all the subscriber to base station, that it is in the due to ENV. So we can get the latest location and also distance between the two nodes, so that we can use like pandemic in this COVID-19 for tracing. If anyone find the infected, then through Bluetooth we can simulate that other person, what is the proximity to, what is the probability to come closest to come close in the context of that infected person.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to the next presentation. But we have with us David again. I think, David, now the things are sorted with you.
Hopefully, yes.
So can you share your screen and begin with your presentation?
Okay, it's looking good.
Yeah,
Can
it's
you
perfect.
see it?
Yeah, we can see it. So
Oh,
please go ahead.
Thank you.
All the best.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present today. I work in cybersecurity, but as the COVID-19 pandemic evolved, and because I've worked on cloud projects in the past, I started to question the UK's response to the crisis. And from February, I started working on a concept for a distributed test, track and trace system that could help contribute to containment of any epidemic before it takes a hold. And of course, this is an industry perspective. So today, I'd like to go through different approaches between the UK and an exemplar case, which is South Korea, and compare and contrast the two. Build up the lessons that can be learned from these two examples, and then like to touch on cyber defense concepts and how that made me realise that there was an opportunity for a cloud system to be used to help track any outbreaks of the virus in the UK. I'll discuss the model, a concept of operations, and the approach of you know, the components of the cloud, effectively at high level. Then concludes with a summary and future work. From the start of the pandemic, the UK seemed to be very slow in their response, where South Korea was very rapid in their response, and of course the pandemic hit them earlier than the UK. So it was interesting to see the two approaches, but also the outcomes of mortality rates because of the responses. So from the South Koreans' perspective, they built up a knowledge base from their experience of SARS in the past. And at the start of the epidemic, when it hit them, they closed their borders quite rapidly. They also quite quickly developed a test that was operational within 2 weeks, and they were able to scale it to 20,000 a day from the outset. During their crisis, the crisis that's still actually evolving in South Korea, they use epidemiological teams on the ground to target outbreaks and effectively jump on it quick to contain it and trace other people that might be infected and then quarantine them. They used a track and trace approach using big data, and it consists of cell phones, the combination of cell phones, government records, and medical data combined. And from the Western perspective, it appeared to be quite intrusive because it sacrificed some privacy, personal privacy aspects, but it was very effective in being able to identify where the outbreaks are. The South Korea did not lock down at all, and they are continuing to use localized teams to contain the outbreaks. And quite interestingly, in the last couple of days, it's been revealed that 76% of new infections on that day came from abroad, where 24% were transmitted within the country. So as an outcome of this, South Koreans had 14,000 cases, of which they had 300 deaths. So moving on to the UK. The UK ran an exercise in 2016, which showed that there was a level of unpreparedness for the National Health Service, or the NHS, and other aspects. But the UK was very reliant on modelling, and at the start of the pandemic, when it hit the UK, they were modelling on and using influenza as the main context, which was, of course, incorrect. And coronavirus is far more infectious. The borders were not closed during the up to the peak of the pandemic, and the logic behind this was that, based on the previous modelling, that they believed it would delay the pandemic transmitting within the country for 5 days. Subsequently, the infection rate was considerable, and the epidemiological teams were overwhelmed, and surveys in the community were abandoned. To which point the UK government appeared to favour herd immunity based on infection, not by inoculation, obviously, because the vaccine is still to come. So in the UK, we had to instigate a countrywide lockdown because it was going out of control. Borders remained open passed the peak, and it was believed that 20,000 affected people entered the country up to this period. Testing was scaled up late in response to the pandemic, and there was a heavy focus on NHS, which is the National Health Service, contact tracing application for smartphones, but that failed because of permissions issues with, not with Android, with Apple iOS. There was also a late reinstatement of traditional shoe leather type epidemiological surveys in the community. And it's only in the last few days that the Prime Minister has conceded that the UK's response may have been a little too late. So as a consequence, there's been 300,000 cases in the UK and nearly 46,000 deaths. So inaction seems to have cost thousands of lives. So learning from a cyber risk management perspective and contrasting against the medical side, I started thinking about active cyber defences and what's in place there, which is, you know, an active defence regime with sensors, as well as a protective monitoring regime, also with sensors, but in a different way, more passive. And these are used to obviously to avoid a threat if you can, and if there's an attack, to mitigate it rapidly. So contrast that to the medical domain. Proactive testing seems to be a key control from the outbreak of a pandemic, and it makes sense that swab testing is used at the border as passengers come in from air, sea and land. Also, there's a need for epidemiological surveillance and monitoring in the community to identify further outbreaks from the outcomes of the testing and where you know the test subjects reside because you have their details by going through the test process. So this led me to think of a concept for a distributed test, track and trace system. And this concept came about before the smartphone tracking system that was implemented in various countries. And I thought, well, a cloud system approach is ideal for this sort of scenario. So you can have trusted front end test points at the borders, and they transfer data in a secure way into the cloud. And this will be the test subject data. And then the tests can be sent off independently to the laboratories, and then they can submit the test results into the same cloud system. So you have a full record against the individual known to come into the country as a visitor or national, and where they live and whether it's positive or negative. And this is achievable using cloud as infrastructure as code, supported by artificial intelligence.
Sorry for interruption, dear presenter, you have last 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. So the model that came about is basically a front end on the left, where you do a standard PCR swab test. You send that physically to the laboratory, going anti-clockwise to number 2. The data goes in the cloud straight across the middle. 3, the cloud is where all data resides from both the test subjects and from the laboratory. You can use that to then monitor where the individuals live in the country or are residing in the country, and then you can use that data to steer epidemiological teams in the community to look for outbreaks if there's a hotspot of lots of positive cases. And this is a concept of operations where you have testing at the bottom, feeding into the laboratories that feed all the data and the test data goes into the system. You have an operations center, which is now monitors the situation and then can steer epidemiological teams into the community to see how far the outbreak's going and what containment measures are needed for local authorities. There's a feedback loop in this where the teams that go out to the community can also take more test samples and feed it back into the test loop. So the lessons to be learned really is a centralized system, but not a smartphone app that was being built, can be used to test, monitor, trace and track infections pre, intra and post-pandemic stages of a pandemic. It can be used to help contain the viral transmission and mitigate the impact on scarce resources such as the health service. And this could be used for preparedness for the next pandemic, an epidemic that might hit the world. So effectively, the central system can correlate and corroborate test data, identify where people living in the country, whether they test positive. You can then monitor and track any outbreaks that come from these hotspots within the country, and also use surveillance measures to trace further out to be able to help contain further outbreaks. I believe this is fully achievable using a cloud solution that could actually be built, then stood down, tested occasionally, and then instigated when an epidemic hits a country, rather than having a hot system that's live all the time and just sitting there ready. To achieve this, there are a lot of dependencies. You need adequate test kits to be deployed rapidly to the borders areas where people come into the country. You need trained test staff. You need faster methods to screen passengers that come through to avoid inconvenience. There's also legal aspects that are required to enforce this type of regime to ensure that everyone participates in it. You need sufficient laboratories to be able to process the tests, and you need adequate epidemiological teams in the community to trace any further spread of any infection. But a centralized system, cloud system, can be used and could be scaled up in the next pandemic to facilitate these aspects, to monitor, contain and respond to any pandemic. Here's my references, or some of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It is very interesting. I would ask if there are some questions for other attendants. I recognize that this is an important example of what we can learn from experience and how to prepare ourselves from next challenges, because someone thinks that we can prepare to next diffusion of similar virus, etc. I would ask you the implementation status of this DTTS system and the availability of data, because I think all of this, it depends on the available data, which must be communicated as soon as possible in real time, because upon this data one can base the decision and also to direct the politician, for example, to making some decision. What about the implementation status, or in this moment it is only a designed architecture to cope with this kind of disasters?
Yes, thank you, Professor. So at the outset in the paper, I'll talk about definitive data, where it's data that comes from PCR tests, swab tests, that is, a known standard of test, and its reliability has been, quite good during the pandemic, as opposed to the smartphone application, which is a sort of crowd-sourced way of doing it, where you rely on the individual who owns the phone to notify the authorities that they've got symptoms of COVID, or COVID. So so if someone doesn't notify the authorities and they got it, they're going to be spreading it in an unknown way. So I thought the best way of doing this is at the choke points, because the UK is an island, and there's a perfect opportunity to use that to the UK's advantage to control the borders in order to test people. And it's not everyone, it will be, they believe that dogs can be trained to sniff out people who have got coronavirus and COVID as they come in. So they're the ones that are selected for the testing, not everyone. So I thought, the key is definitive data, not crowdsourced data, I felt.
Okay, thank you very much, David. And we'll move ahead with the last presentation, Imtiaz. So I'm making you unmute, Imtiaz. Go ahead with your presentation. This is the
Excuse me,
last
sir.
presentation for the session.
Yeah, sir, excuse me. So the second author will be presenting, sir, Akshay Prakash.
Okay, Akshay. So,
Yeah.
so I am unmuting Akshay now.
Yeah, sir.
He's already unmuted.
Yeah, sir. I have unmuted myself, sir.
Yeah.
So just give me 2 minutes. I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
Actually, there was a power loss, so sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem. No problem. If any of the authors again are having any questions, please use the chat board to communicate in private chats as well as in public forum. Akshay, we are just waiting for you.
Yes, sir. Loading, sir. Yeah. You can invite me, sir. Yeah. You can allow me.
Because you are the last presenter of the session and we want to be on time.
Yes, sir.
Although we have
Sure, sir.
already completed our 1.5 hours, but still.
Yeah, that's fine, sir. I agree, sir. So, can you please? Yeah. Thank you, sir. So sorry for the inconvenience, sir.
No problem.
able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can. We are able
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
All the best.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So first of all, I need to ask. I'll apologize for the delay. So yeah, myself Akshay, and I'm here to present on a review of on smart farming with zinc fortified spout under the guidance of Dr. Imtiaz Ahmad, and my co-authors are Saeed Husna and Avinash Prakash. So moving on, before I go on, I'll just brief you out what it is exactly. As we all know, farming is considered as backbone of all world's economy, as it consists of like it gives of 60% of world economy on an average of 30 decades considerably. And we are discussing about the exact requirement match for the crop growth rate, like what are the things we need to take care for the growth rate of the crop. So the wireless sensor networks for the exactness and the data collectivity of the crop, and what are the factors which crop productivity depends, and why the zinc enriched sports, and why particularly or mainly zinc material nutrient is considered. And as we know that agriculture is like enormously developing, so robotic solutions with an artificial intelligence is given for the development of the crop. So artificial intelligence to the economic systems. So moving on to the introduction. So as we all know that from past 3 decades, agriculture have seeing many enormous developments in its area. So with many technologies like UAV, for example, unmanned vehicle and unarmed vehicle, or UGV, unground vehicles and all. So this robotic solution is also considered as one of the huge tremendous growth in field of agriculture. So as considered with all this digitization in the field of agriculture as well, considered as the third revolution of exactness of the agriculture. I mean, like precision of agriculture, which means that get the exact growth, exact precise output, I can say. So the internet of things, as we all know that which where internet of things are making like things much easier, where in the same place, with being in the same place, we can monitor many things. And with wireless sensor networks connected with having an active connection with internet of things is enormous growth in the field of agriculture. So multi-hop connecting robotic system with global connectivity, where each of the robot which is deployed on the field will be having connectivity to the main access point. So zinc is considered as the main nutrient for any food of the body, considerably the human body, where it has much more importance, and which has impacts on the human body as well, rather than having impact on the sprouts or the field or a plant. So and a mobile robot, that is a robot with artificial intelligence, which have mobility capability on the field, which have in-field decision taking capacity with due to the wireless sensor networks and artificial skill set provided. So we are providing a robotic solution for like what is the exactness to be happen, or exact situation, or exact solutions to be taken care in with respect to the field and the conditions taken care. So moving on, the further presentation is on like related work on smart farming management of sprouts, like how sprouts are managed in a smarter way than it is, and why approach for the zinc fortifying, why only the zinc nutrient is considered, and summary of the findings in conclusion with this feature scope. So related works. So control and supplement of zinc. As considered, zinc is the main nutrient for human body. For example, from the day one we said where we can take an example of the toothpaste which have zinc content, and more considerably in the vegetables, the leafy vegetables will be having more content of zinc with them. So it is helpful for a human body to develop certain like oxides and control the oxides level of the human body as well. So precision farming, as in previous slide I told it precision agriculture, now I'm speaking about precision farming, which means that in a exactness of agriculturing, which is also considered as farming with various technology, as I told, like using a robot and using a wireless sensor networks, all these. So informations from of the ranches are the field areas, where in which field area which are the dominant or prominent crop or the yield which to be sowed or which to be produced or built on. So task performation in the harsh environment. We as a human, we have a we have negligible task where we can have ourselves a glance where we'll just stop working on a harsh environment. For example, like huge amount of drought or huge amount of sunlight. We don't work in a harsh environment. So using of automation, automated or the digitization of agriculture can help in getting yield in the harsh environment as well. So agrarian robots with a specific task, a robot which is having put on the field or with a decision making, which will be having capacity and which is having a desired specific task to perform, whether it's fed on the task, end task is fed already to the robot to achieve it. So area scout and crop mapping. So this is considerably, this is the important thing, which is because within that specific area or within a specific distance of area, we have to put specific amount of crop. For example, in 1 acre of field area, we can have 88.6 wheat feeds, wheat plants actually. So this is on an average. So this is much important to get much yield with the respective distance between the each crop. So sensor integrated to UAV, unnamed unmanned autonomous vehicle. So these sensors helps us to gather the information about the crop each at the each stage of the development. So UTM, this is universal transverse marketer, which is taken care. Why? Because it have capacity to perform a 60 segments as zone. It as a part considerably globe, it creates 60 segments as zones, and a zone is of having a 6-degree segment of the earth. It covers 6-degree segment of the earth, which is helpful for us to perform an area scout, which will be very easy to take into consideration. Moving on. So what happens if we give enormous amount of zinc to the sprout or the seed while sowing? So a seed will be not affected by any deploying or putting extra amount of zinc and all, because we are not on the developing stage. We are not giving directly to the seed or directly to the root. We are giving the nutrient to the soil. So as I told already, the zinc is present in the leaf tissue. So in any plant developing or any leaf getting out of coverage area, or that doesn't happen because we are not providing zinc or the extra nutrients to the leaf. So dull sprouts based on germination. So how we can consider a sprout is which is well grown, or which is at the time of germination, where it has got proper nutrients or proper minerals to growth, and proper the environment condition as well as important. So other resources with zinc. So this is the huge factor. Having keeping in mind zinc only providing zinc nutrients is not main thing actually. Where it we have to take care that where it affects the other nutrients which is already present in the seed or the sprout. So absolute requirement of zinc for the body with DNA capacity. So this states that as you can see in the left right side of your screen, which is showing the zinc level and zinc and iron level concentration in the human body with children, adults, and pregnant ladies, or and lactocaring as well. So we have to consider all these aspects while we are giving any extra nutrient or which is required for the seed. So component of zinc is examined before giving or before providing the zinc nutrients which is deficient or inefficient for the crop, which is actually taken consideration of this amount of. For example, you can take for example, zinc capacity of human body which can take on a daily basis is 14 milligrams to 21 milligrams. According to that, a plant is being added with the nutrient. So other thing is zinc regulating oxygen process. As I spoke already, I've noted down this topic already. So saying that zinc also regulates the oxide presentation in the sprouts, where extra oxides gives acidity to the human body. This is completely on the human body basis, where the zinc is the most prominent vital part which a human body can have. So moving on, we have considered in a previous box, they have considered 3 different species based on the size and exposure level of the zinc. As you can see, the table is presented, and broccoli, sunflower, and pea seeds are taken, and estimated leakage of estimated intake of the zinc per day in those sprouts and well-grown plants. So these things are considered by considering the seed size while before growing or before sowing the seed. Sunflower is size of sunflower is greater than pea, and then greater than broccoli, and goes on. So moving on. So approach for fortifying sprouts. So far we have taken this. This is the application path they have given. So what approach we can having in here is, so as you can see in the diagram, it follows 4 stages. That is crop and soil data, decision, and implementation. So first of all, starting from stage 1 and 2 combiningly, so crop and crop soil data. So we can see, like, we have to check whether the consistency of the fields, because where this field is suitable for the perfect this crop to yield the maximum amount. So deciding the boundaries, as I told, area scout is much important in this specified area. How much sprouts or how much yields can be grown. Moving on. So crops quality is chosen, like for example, the good quality of seeds and better quality and next best quality of seeds are separated, and then it is managed on every stage. There are 3 stages of plant growing. There is when it starts with sowing of the seed and germination of the seed and well built on the time of harvest. So these are the 3 different stages where the crop is maintained and managed on an equal amount. So data acquisition processing with sensors. So data acquisition is taken by wireless sensor networks, where it can it's having a data with IoT, and then it gives the data whether it is requirement of some nutrient or requirement of water or different aspects considerably. So decision making, how does a on infield robot decides whether we have to take this amount of mineral to this seed only, and this amount of nutrient to the next seed, and so far is like with the techniques of artificial intelligence and computational capability. Artificial skill set provides the computational capability for each of the infield robot. So decision support systems, so this also helps artificial skill set to decide what exactly the action to be taken care with for the each sprout. So implementation through actuation. So this physical incitation of on the yield, what exactly is when the crop is grown, or what the physical action we need to take on the field, on the yield. And next, variable rate technology with specific crop management. Variable rate technology is like different rate of technologies where used for different level of different level of the crop growth, as we discussed earlier. And with specific crop management, which means like every crop needs different, might be different amount of requirements, so that is taken care with SCM, that is specific crop management. So differential collection with accuracy and precision. Once data is collected and it is actually with the access point, it is the decision, and precisely it can have, or it can give the specific requirements given or required for the sprout. So moving on to the conclusion. So this artificial intelligence with having a decision supporting system proves the next level of improvement, because there needs to be not much more acquisition of required for the each sprout. So home streets prompts an ideal choice, because this provides, because every sprout as a part of human, we have some error, marginal error, where we'll be having that thing managing things and all, but still this provides an ideal choice to perform an accurate action. Precisely we can have an output or desired amount of output from the yields. So digital horticulture, uh, for developing more intelligent homesteads machine, and germinability and health concerns. This is more important as we consider as, and food is considered some in probably of the living, food is considered as one of the major thing for the all living organisms. So what can be the future scope is like, it can have an built-in of efficiencies. It can be boosting of efficiency and streamline reaper execution, and innovation in autonomous vehicle with capability of image capturing, and other nutrient materials can be considered for the study. So moving on. So these are the references from year 2004 to 2020. Papers are from 2004 to 2020. So I'm grateful for the WS4 conference for providing me to present my technical things, and I thank my guide Imtiaz Ahmad, and my co-authors Saida Hosna and Avinash Prakash, so for helping me out. and reviewer team as well to fine tune my all the suggestions and corrections, fine tune my technical paper. So thank you all. If you have questions, so I'm glad to answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Due to my instruction of being a people who is much involved with the modeling analysis of various kind of systems, I would ask you just a curiosity. Have you built some model to try to reproduce the effect of this innovation work? And
Sir,
to
sir,
have,
can you repeat, sir? Can you repeat it?
you have some experimental data which can justify which can be used as a proof of concept.
Okay, sir, as in this is a review paper, sir. So this is an approach like we can build it on in the further aspects, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Yeah.
No, I intend if you have some model by which you can effectively can control the
Yes, sir.
use of zinc on
Yes, sir.
the sprouts
Yes, sir.
and their effects, and if you have some model to predict what exactly happens.
Exactly, sir. So while controlling uh, the nutrient, for example, I can consider zinc sprout, where the sprout is having zinc capacity, so which can impact on the human body as well. Not only the plants, and once you implement the zinc nutrient to the plant, it controls the oxides present in the plant, and once we are consuming that as organisms or living organisms, we consume food. So once it's inside the food, it controls our body level and all. So majorly it have like prevents the uh, it can control our like loss of it can control loss of appetite and vomit and headache. These all things are considered. So for that reason, zinc is more important as proved as a vital for the human body.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Sir, is that clear, or you want me to like explain a little bit more?
I think it's fine, Akshay.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you so much.
and we are just in a mood to close the session. But before that, I would like
Yeah.
Professor Libro to for his comments for
I
the
would
session.
express to all the authors which have presented their work my appreciation because I have heard in many cases some very interesting, timely topics which I think can be further developed and can produce some results which can be, for example, useful in this time of a pandemic in which we all need we need some help from computer science, for example, and also from people who try to control the phenomena and try to predict, because this is the most important work. And I have heard many interesting ideas in this presentation. So I would invite the authors to continue to develop further their work and to present in next issue of conference and journal their very interesting results. And so it was for me very interesting to follow and to chair this session. Thank you to all.
Thank you very much, Professor Libro, and we appreciate your efforts for chairing this session. I personally believe and understand that chairing a session digitally is rather difficult than chairing a session physically, because in digital modes you need to be concentrated on a single screen for a longer number of time, listening the presentations, commenting on the authors, and all that. So thank you for your efforts, and thank you for chairing the session. I would like my team member Richard to just present a token of appreciation in form of a certificate to our Dr. Libro. This is for you, Dr. Libro. thank you very much for sharing this
Thank you
valuable
for
session.
this. Thank you. Thank you.
This will be sent to you through via mail. And before we close this session, I request everyone to just put on their webcam so that we can click a group picture for the session. And my thanks are also due to all the authors who have contributed and who have presented their valuable work. I personally believe that the whole cycle of a paper is from right in the beginning. Also, I told you that it's 7 to 8 months, and we appreciate your time and efforts. And I think in next 3 months, the IEEE publication will be online maximum. Maybe before October, maybe in October. So we hope if we do not get any content issues or any copyright issues, we will be definitely getting it published by September end, or say you can say in the mid of October. Also, all the authors will be receiving their certificates, their payment receipt, as well as a thank you letter from our organization once this session is over. In next couple of minutes, you will be getting it on your mailboxes. So thank you very much for patiently being patient during the whole conference, attending the sessions, and we look forward to see you in physical modes for World S4 2021 in London. And till that time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and do whatever you can for the society. And I believe that this COVID-19 would be a thing of soon be a thing of past, and we will overcome the situation, and we will be in the back times where we were. So thank you very much. Stay safe and have a very good day and good night to one and all in the session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
very
again.
much. Thank you very much. So another 1 minute, this session is open up. After that, I'll just close the meeting, and you will also get all the videos available on the website in couple of days.
I mean, so I hope to we contact with you in the next time, and hope for this conference the best. I wish the best for this conference, because it was, even if with the difficulties of the pandemic, I think it was well organized, and after all, interesting. Timely for the contents.
Thank you very much. Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much. And see you for World S4 2021.
Thank you.